man is a hell of a businessman, and always was. Picked up clients right and left.
He had an intensely personal relationship with his clients.
No matter what client you're dealing with at what level, you have to be able to be kind of a consultant partner to them. And in order to do that, they have to trust you, and you have to have a lot of credibility. He taught me that.
He just had a magic touch where everyone liked him.
He has an uncanny ability and desire to stay in touch with people.
He has these relationships for 30 and 40 years, wherever these people go, and then he has relationships with their kids.
The interesting thing about Jack is how interesting he is and how much there is to know about Jack.
He is a great success story in finding something and deciding that he was going to try it and make it successful.
That's just the way he is. He opens the doors and encourages people to be as great as they can be.
And Jack allowed in me, quite frankly, was just to be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else.
You know what that friendship thing really translates to in business is trust. People trusted him.
This one-on-one mastery of personal relationships is the thing that has made Jack the kind of a person that he is.
Well, I grew up in Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania. That's a little town east of Pittsburgh. And it was a great, great life because everybody there was so warm and wonderful. My mom and dad were about as nice as they could come. So it was just a wonderful, idyllic childhood. Then I moved to Squirrel Hill so my sister could find somebody to date. I met a group of guys in high school who all were good students and played a lot of ball, and that's all I needed. So again, that was a very good life. I was drafted into the Navy because the Navy liked my looks. And that day they took 3 out of 300 people, and I was one of the 3. So I was fortunate. I went aboard ship, the USS Midway, which was the largest aircraft carrier in the world. I had a lot of fun on the ship, but it was also very dangerous. But I also was able to play basketball on the hangar deck.
Jack, as you know, considers himself an excellent basketball player.
I started as a point guard. They weren't called that in those days, but that's what I was.
No offense to Jack, but he is size disadvantaged.
I know he would need a stepladder to ever touch the rim.
But he never lets that stand in his way.
I can't tell you how many times he's told me the story of when they played basketball in high school, how Zola was the postman and Curly was the wingman and Jack was the guard, and they would run this play and he would throw the ball to Curly in the corner.
I was lucky enough to be a good set shot, and I threw up running pitches and little hook shots, so that made me my basketball career. By 1946, they threw all of us reserves out of the Navy, and I went to Pitt. Pitt was very good for me. I mean, I picked up a lot of confidence, joined a fraternity, and I was an English major and a history minor. After graduating from Pitt in 1950, I went to work for an agency called Milton K. Sussman. I was a 21-year-old kid, and I handled all the accounts. And then I met Lou Cardamone. Lou took my job when I was recalled to the Navy. We agreed when I came back that we'd build an agency someday.
MARC started in 1955 So they really kind of stumbled and struggled along for about 5 years.
When we started MARC, we had nothing. So we took what we could get.
Like First Upholstery and Kelly & Cohn and Smiling George Fraser.
There was no 9 to 5. I mean, we were working $2,700 to $3,500 a year. Holidays, weekends, didn't matter. And I think that eventually clients got that kind of service and that kind of response from an agency. They were pretty impressed. When I started at MARC, I mean, MARC, they were outliers. I mean, they were very much like because, you know, advertising was kind of a waspy Duquesne Club kind of thing.
The strength of MARC in those early days was retail.
And of course, what we offered was advertising that runs tonight and works tomorrow.
Jack spent many, many hours and nights coming up with the creative on our retail business.
I think Jack pushed us to displaying product both in the store and tying it then into the advertising.
So we didn't just pride ourselves in being creative, but we prided ourselves in creating advertising that would really do the job.
Jack was very instrumental in the successes that we had with Busy Beaver and our growth.
You know, when you think of personalities and characters in our business, it might seem funny to say that, you know, Jack is going to be one of these that goes down in history, but in a sense, he is such an iconic figure in our industry.
Jack is what I would call a supreme strategist. He would tell us how to get from point A to point B and how to image our brand for the long-term run.
The real great hit for Arby's was Break the Hamburger Habit.
They actually did research and found out what people liked about Arby's, and then they made a commercial that expanded on that truth.
You know, when I buy a sandwich, it sure isn't for the bread or the ketchup. No siree. I buy a sandwich for this, tender beef. Arby's understands a fella like me. They really pile on the beef.
We really pile on the beef at Arby's.
See, Arby's piles it on.
And that just took off, sold by itself. But then we put coupons in the Sunday paper, which everybody does now. But in those days, no one did it.
McDonald's wanted a bigger sandwich for the man. And they also wanted a bigger sandwich to add a larger price tag on their product.
But it was Jack who put the concept together, went to Chicago and sold the concept to McDonald's.
There was a knockoff of Bob's Big Boy, and we just put it together. We called it the Big Mac Super Sandwich.
Let me say a few words about McDonald's Big Mac. It's 2 all-beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
That involvement between Jack and McDonald's in marketing the Big Mac and growing their business locally, I think was one of the significant turning points for MARC.
Another big moneymaker for McDonald's was, he said, hey, this store's empty in the morning. I can create breakfast.
We opened the stores at 7 o'clock and we put in complete breakfast.
Ultimately, Jack became a key player in positioning breakfast in Western Pennsylvania and having people go to a place that you never went to for breakfast, would never even consider.
We just took a year to develop it. And after a year, it was successful because we set a goal.
And that was Jack who did the development and the creation and the execution that now has breakfast the mainstay of McDonald's.
Now breakfast is a snap at McDonald's. We've got juices galore, cereal, milk, and much more. English muffins or toast, our fruit cup is the most. Rolls of donuts for you. Coffee, tea, cinq or two. Egg McMuffins, you bet. Hotcakes and sausage are set. Breakfast is a snap today at McDonald's.
I think in some ways he was kind of ahead of his time in terms of looking for big ideas. He looked for big ideas in sales promotion, and it led to concepts like the McDonald's coloring calendar. He looked for big ideas in creative, and also he pushed for, with clients, new products.
In a food business like Pizza Hut, you can have great ideas, but if you can't sell them to the franchisees, it doesn't work. And he has had years and years of experience with working with franchisees and just working with people. So he was very instrumental in helping me in particularly my early days of working with the franchisees at Pizza Hut.
His spirit of trust would allow him to talk to them in a way that, you know, would get a genuine response from the clients.
Jack had such an impact on the business and on the people that, you know, there was never a question. He's just part of the team.
And you can tell by the relationships he's kept with people that have gone to Pizza Hut and gone to McDonald's and gone to these national chains that still call him up even today and ask him what he thinks of things.
After I retired from MARC, I didn't have enough money to live as I wanted to live. So I decided to consult. I called Art Gunther, who was president of Pizza Hut, told him I wanted to consult to him.
And he brought some business to MARC, and it was for very specific promotions. So I was the account executive on that. And you know, Jack was sort of, you know, he was always funny and, you know, nice guy. Well, the consultant and the account guy came out, and he was very strict and very, very particular.
Well, one of the great things about Jack is he is serious, but he doesn't take himself seriously. So you can always count on the fact that if you have an assignment with Jack, that you're going to have fun doing it. And he never lets you down in that regard, and he never lets you get too serious about yourself either.
Jack's second career as a consultant was something that I felt was a very positive influence on me, because first of all, it said that you can do it, that it's something that's logical. It also, how he did it is he connected with people that he had known either as prior employees or clients.
And he was able to sort of transcend just the business aspect. He understood the business, but he also understood the creative and strategy, and he was the one who sort of married the two.
I went to work for the local companies, Busy Beaver and Kennywood.
Good thing I've got my terrible towel. It sure is, Myron.
From that, everybody thought I was really good, and it just continued on and on.
Jack's role was to make the product better and to help strategically bring in the right people to work on the right projects.
You know, what you reap is what you sow. And for Jack, I mean, he has reaped so many positive, you know, situations and so many positive relationships.
The guy he's an open book. He is open, he's honest, he'll tell you everything.
It was like there's always something that you're learning from him if you're willing to listen.
He's very resilient. He has more lives than, you know, cats, and it's amazing. I think God's just keeping him alive so he can continue to bring joy and happiness to the world.
You should be going to Kelly & Cohen right now, because this is your last chance to save during
Pizza Hut is going to make your day.
especially Sunday through Wednesday. Because Sunday through Wednesday, you can get a large pizza for the price of a
Kennywood Park, the undefeated roller coaster capital of the world.
I'll get you next time.
GB knows everybody loves a bargain.